Hello, everyone, and welcome to our virtual yoga class. We'll go ahead and begin class the way that we end class, which is in Shavasana. So go ahead and lay on your mat, back on the floor, palms facing up towards the ceiling, fingertips relaxed. And noticing that we're cultivating a practice, give yourself time to drop into your breath. Inhale, belly and ribcage expands. Exhale, release. Another cycle of breath, and feel free to exhale and sigh it out here. As you're inhaling, belly expands, exhale, sigh it out. We're releasing that tension from earlier in the week, earlier in your day. And we're also noticing that our breath is that bridge of our physical, mental, emotional body. So a body scan here, you'll notice the top of your head, your shoulders, back, all the way down to your tailbone. Notice your hips and knees down to your ankles and toes. Return to your breath. Noticing which breath supports you right now. We'll remain here. 5 more breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Generous breath, inhale, ribcage expands, belly expands. Always optional if you want to exhale and sigh out. Throughout the class, we're using our breath as a focusing tool as we're working on our strength, flexibility, and balance. Another intentional breath here. Inhale, exhale. And as you approach that next cycle of breath, we're going to go ahead and invite a full body stretch. That means we'll lift our arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, and lift your abdomen up towards the ceiling, separate around the shoulder blades. This is a gentle stretch from the lower back, upper back, all the way up to the arms. You can also point your toes here, gentle stretch there around the heels and the ankles. Belly expands with a generous breath. And then release. We'll start to lift that right leg up towards the ceiling. You're interlacing your fingers right behind your knee. Rotate your ankle clockwise or counterclockwise. Stretch throughout the heels, ankles, balls of your feet. Once again, return to your breath. And then start to shift that stretch to the hamstrings by bringing your leg closer towards you. So I'm applying some gentle pressure right behind my knee or thigh here, bringing that leg closer towards my belly, my chest. Now here you can extend your leg as much as you can, or you can still invite a little bend to your knee. Up to you. Hold. 3 breaths, inhaling, exhaling. We can flex that left foot towards the front of the room. Notice where your boundary is. Inhale, exhale. And then start to bend that right knee, and then grab that knee with your hands around your spine, forehead towards your knee, drop your head back. Keep that left foot flexed towards the front of the room. Elbows remain close to your torso. Tuck your chin towards your chest. You want to get that release and that opening from the neck. You're activating your core as well. About a total of 5 rounds. We're lifting our forehead up. And then last round here, 5th round, we lift our forehead up towards our knees, chin towards chest, and then remain here. Hold. The left heel remains on the floor. Hold. And then drop your head back, lengthen your leg once more up towards the ceiling, and then intentionally and slowly release your heel back down towards the floor. Take a breath here. Inhale here. You can exhale side out. And then bend your left knee, lengthen that leg up towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers right behind that knee. Rotate your ankle clockwise, counterclockwise. Releasing and opening around the heels, the balls of your foot, that ankle. And then once you've taken a few moments there, you can apply some more pressure there behind your thigh. Bring your leg closer towards your belly, your chest. Extend your leg, either keeping your leg long or inviting a little bend to your knee, and then focus on your hamstrings. Inhale. Exhale. Hold. Shoulders are soft, neck is soft as well. You can flex that right foot towards the front of the room. 2 more breaths. Generous breath here. Start to bend that left knee, cup your knee with your hands, round your spine, forehead up towards your knee, and then drop your head back. Flex that right foot towards the front of the room. Total of 5 times here. Lift up into that second round and drop your head back. You're activating your core and you're very purposely rounding the spine, tucking your chin towards your chest. 4th round, lift forehead up towards your knee. Drop your head back. And then on that 5th round, remain there, an extra breath. Inhale, exhale, chin towards chest, and then drop your head back. Lengthen your left leg up towards the ceiling. Slowly release your heel back down towards the floor. Once your heel reaches the mat, inhale here, exhale, side out. We'll bend at both knees, soles of the feet on the floor. Now rest that left ankle on top of your right thigh. Weave your left hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind that right thigh. Hold here. You're noticing a stretch here throughout the left side of the hip. Now you can bring your thigh closer towards your belly, towards your chest. Intensify that stretch around the left hip. Inhale here and exhale. Notice that type of breath that begins at the belly, and as you're inviting that deep breath, use your breath to assist you to fold just a little deeper. Intensify that stretch. Let your breath guide you and support you. Take a breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Release. Bend both knees. Cup those knees with your hands. Round your spine. Forehead up towards your knee. Drop your head back. 2 more times. Chin towards chest. You're keeping your elbows close to your torso. Or towards your thighs, actually. Well, around the torso, the thighs as well. 3rd round, lift forehead up towards your knee, chin towards chest, and then drop your head back. Plant that left foot on the floor, and then place that right ankle on top of that left thigh. You're weaving your right hand between your legs, interlacing your fingers behind that left thigh. Hold and remain here. There's an opening here in that right hip. You can bring your thigh closer towards your belly, closer towards your chest. Neck is soft, shoulders are soft. hold. Deep belly breath. You're using your breath to assist you to deepen into the stretch. Take a longer breath than you're accustomed to. Inhale here. Exhale. One more breath. Start to release. Bend your knees. Cup your knees with your hands. 3 rounds. Forehead up towards your knee. And then drop your head back. Second round. And then on that third round, remain there, an extra breath. Inhale here. Exhale. Another breath. Chin moves towards your chest. And then drop your head back. Extend both legs up towards the ceiling. Plant both palms on the mat. And then slowly release your legs. Find a point to hover. Your feet can be hovering 1 foot off the mat, 2 feet off the floor. Hold. I'm engaging around the glutes. Core is active. Quads are active as well. Inhale. Exhale. Release. Take a breath. Second round out of 3. Bend your knees. Lengthen your legs up towards the ceiling. Slowly release your heels down towards the floor. Find a point to hover and hold. Inhale. Exhale. You can flex your feet. And then release. Take a breath as your heels reach the floor, reach the mat. Inhale. Exhale. Last round. Bend your knees. Lengthen your legs up towards the ceiling. And then slowly release your heels. Find that point to hover and hold. Activate your glutes, your quads, your core. You can plant your palms firmly on the floor. Notice your fingertips on the floor. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale and release, heels down towards the floor. Let's take care of our lower back and around the tailbone by bending our knees, rocking to the left, to the right. So you're grabbing those knees with your hands, inviting that gentle massage around the lower back. And then after a few moments there, go ahead and release the pose. We're going to lengthen our legs out in front. Come to sit with legs long out in front of us. Invite a little bend to your knees, flex your feet, and then you can rest your hands anywhere around your thighs, your shins, and then start to fold down. Your hands can remain on your thighs or shins, or if you want to reach your toes, go ahead and do that. It's really about wherever you're comfortable here with your hands. You want to keep your spine long. You're dropping your belly, your heart towards your thighs, versus rounding your spine, just trying to stretch to find your toes. You don't want that. You want to lengthen your spine, drop your belly towards your thighs. This is a simple stretch, but an intense stretch. So we'll take 5 breaths here. Inhale and exhale. You want to notice where your boundary is and then use your breath to assist you in moving that boundary. Now it can be very subtle. Inhale, exhale. Shoulders are relaxed. You're focusing on your lower body, not crunching around the neck or shoulders. Dropping down into a deep belly breath. You can invite a little bend to your knees there, or a generous bend to your knees. One more breath. And then release the pose. We'll go ahead and transition into our seated position. So a little moment of stillness here before we move into the more active portion of class. Then come into your seat. If you prefer to keep your legs out in front, you can go in and do that. You can sit on your ankles. What you do want to do is invite presence, more self-awareness of the body. So what that means is that you're lengthening the spine. You're purposely drawing your shoulders down, and you're being intentional with your gaze. You can either close your eyes if you want that more internal experience, that inner sensory experience. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, I recommend finding a point across the floor of the room to focus on. As you keep your gaze steady, as you practice a steady gaze, you're inviting a stillness in your physical, mental, emotional body. So with either eyes closed or eyes open, intentional breath, inhale and exhale. Optional open mouth exhale. Second cycle of breath, perhaps lengthening that inhale and that exhale just a little longer. It helps with that concentration. Anytime we're increasing our inhale and exhale a little longer than we're accustomed to. We're starting to continuously shift that awareness into our bodies from one moment to the next. Welcoming your breath, we welcome our experience. One more breath. Exhale, you can sigh it out. If your eyes are closed, open your eyes, and then on an inhale, let's lift our arms up overhead, interlace our fingers, palms up towards the ceiling, and hold. We're drawing our shoulders down, gentle stretcher throughout the arms. We've been focusing on our lower body, so take a moment here to stretch towards the left side of the room. Side body stretch up throughout the shoulders, and then back to center, opposite side. Inhale. Exhale, back to center. We're going to round our spine, tuck our chin towards our chest, palms pressed towards the front. You're purposely rounding the spine, tucking your chin towards your chest, separating your shoulder blades. And then we'll start to tilt forward and then shift into our forward fold. Knees are bent, feet are hips width distance apart, neck is relaxed. Press that left hand onto the floor, shin or thigh. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. You're bending that left knee to support you. Extending up through that left arm. You're in a twist. Welcome a generous breath here. You can intensify that stretch throughout your right hamstring, right hip by lengthening that leg just a little bit more. Release, right hand on the floor, shin or thigh. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Hold. There's a generous bend to that right knee. You can lengthen that left leg. And now drop your hand back down. We're going to sweep our arms up overhead. Inhale up. Hands meet in front of your heart center. Generous breath. Inhale here. Exhale. We'll start to lift our arms up overhead. Sun salutation. Arms lift. Exhale, release, bend down. Bend your knees. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Step back into your plank pose. Hands are beneath your shoulders. Legs are long. You're lifting your core up towards the ceiling. Your glutes are engaged here. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Tops of the feet are on the floor here. Curl your toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale. We're staying in our downward facing dog, lifting our hips up towards the ceiling, bringing our chest closer towards our thighs. Distribute that weight around your palms and your fingertips. Hold. Inhale, exhale. Now plank pose, hold your plank pose. You're lifting your core up towards the ceiling. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Remain in your down dog. And then as a note, in your downward facing dog, you always have the option of stepping down into a tabletop. Take one more breath here. We're going to go through one more cycle. From your downward facing dog, hold your plank pose. Lifting your core up towards the ceiling, engaging around quads and your glutes. Keep your elbows close to your torso as you release down towards the mat. And then inhale up into your upward facing dog. You want to get a nice extension throughout the spine. And then downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale. Take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. We're going to roll up slowly, head comes up last. Practicing those slow, mindful movements. Head comes up last. We'll come into active mountain pose. Hands framing our hips. Feet hips width distance apart. Core is gently activated here. Shoulders are drawn down. Chin is neutral. Eyes are closed or open. I want you to imagine that if I try to move you, it'd be difficult to do so because you're so grounded and rooted. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath. If your eyes are closed, open your eyes, and then we'll transition into our warrior two. We'll take our right foot forward, left leg steps back, so that your hips are naturally open here. Right forearm is parallel to your thigh, left arm is behind you. Both our arms are parallel to the floor. You're gonna take your gaze over that right hand, over your fingertips. Inhale and exhale. Visualize a breath from your heels all the way up to the crown of your head. Check in with your quads, your glutes, they're active, hips are opening. Arms are strong. You're imagining a line of energy from one fingertip to the other fingertip. You're active here. Release that left hand behind your thigh. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Keep a bend to that right knee. You can lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. Hold here. And then back to center warrior two. Take your gaze over your right fingertips. Inhale, exhale. And now swing that left arm over. Imagine you're holding a ball between your hands. You're sinking deeper into that right hip, right glute. Left shoulder shifts back. Core is activated. Release that right elbow onto your thigh. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale. You want to purposely lift that left arm up towards the ceiling. Either keep that right elbow resting on your thigh or release your hand towards the shin or the floor. You can lengthen that right leg. Either take your gaze up towards the ceiling or release your gaze down towards the floor, and that creates strength for your neck. Intentional breath. Inhale, exhale. And now release both hands down towards the floor. Both hands frame that right foot. Pivot that left foot so your left toes face the front of the room. You're dropping your hips further down towards the mat. Step that right leg back, plank pose. Inhale here, exhale, and then release down towards the floor. You're gonna take your vinyasa, inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale here, your down dog. We're going to lift our left leg here, bend our left knee, stack our hips to the left, hold. Inhale. Exhale. Bring your chest closer towards that right thigh. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Take a generous breath here. And now lift your right leg, bend your right knee, stack your hips. Deep belly breath. Exhale, release your foot back down towards the floor. And then drop your knees down towards the floor, child's pose. In your child's pose, your arms can be stretched out in front or lengthened out. Or you can drop your hands, so backs of the hands, frame your feet, drop your forehead on the mat, and then roll your shoulders forward. Five breaths, inhale and exhale. We're cultivating a practice of being present with our bodies, allowing our bodies to inform us as we're working on our strength, flexibility, and balance. So as you're here in your child's pose, return to your breath. If you're not doing yoga incorrectly, if you're checking out, have other thoughts, that's part of the process. You're creating some space between you and your thoughts. If you ever have trouble concentrating, increase your inhale and your exhale. It can be very subtle, or it can be obvious. Optional open mouth exhale, or you can sigh it out. One more breath. Start to release that child's pose. We'll shift back up into our downward facing dog. Take your gaze right between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Your choice here, how you come up to standing. Make it intentional. So you can roll up slowly, or you can sweep your arms up overhead. Make it an expression of whatever supports you. Hands meet down either in front of your heart center or your hands frame your hips. Ground your breath. One breath, inhale, exhale, eyes closed or open. And then start to shift into your warrior two. This time our left foot steps forward and our right leg steps back. Our right foot is in a diagonal. There's a 90-degree bend to that left knee. Arms are to that T. You're taking your gaze over that left hand. Shoulders are drawn down. Inhale and exhale. Chin is neutral. Imagine a breath breathing from your heels all the way up to the crown of your head. Core is active, glutes and quads as well. Heels are grounded. Release that right hand right behind your thigh. Lift your left arm up. Nice side body stretch here throughout the left side. You're strengthening and opening throughout the lower back, mid back, upper back. Generous breath here to support you, and then back to center. Warrior two, one breath. Inhale, exhale. And now swing that right arm over. Imagine you're holding that ball between your hands. You're drawing that right shoulder back. You're sinking a little deeper into that left hip, left glute. We're always seeking that balance of effort and ease. Notice what takes effort, what takes ease in this pose. Release your left elbow onto your thigh. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling and hold. Either taking your gaze up towards the ceiling or releasing your gaze down towards the floor. You can remain here with elbow on your thigh. Or you can extend your left leg a little bit. Drop your hands towards your shin. You can hold that shin, that ankle. Or drop your left hand on the floor. Either on the right side of that foot or left side of that foot. Sink into that left hip, left hamstring, hold. And then start to drop both hands to frame that left foot. So your hands are right beneath your shoulders here. Pivot that right foot. Sink your hips down a little closer towards the floor. And now extend that left leg behind you. You're in your plank pose. Take your vinyasa, releasing down towards the floor and then inhaling up. Nice extension here throughout the spine. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Lift your right leg, bend your right knee, stack your hips to the right and hold. And then release your right foot back down towards the floor. Take a generous breath. And then lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips. Deep belly breath. And then drop your foot back down towards the floor and then sit down in your child's pose, dropping your knees on the floor. And then we'll take about 5 breaths here. We're taking a moment to appreciate those moments of pause. Inhale here and exhale. Generous breath. Inhale. Exhale. Increase the length of your inhale just a little bit more. Increase the length of your exhale just a little bit more. One more breath in your child's pose. Now release your child's pose, grounding your hands onto the mat. Lift up into your downward facing dog. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Your choice, how you come up to standing. Make it an intentional part of your practice here, how you're lifting up to standing and how you're expressing your mountain pose. Do you prefer to keep your hands, palms pressing against each other in front of your heart center, or do you prefer to release your hands, framing your hips? Invite that intentional component to your practice. Inhale. Exhale. Start to release your mountain pose. We're going to work on a strength pose, a very grounding pose. We're going to start to separate our legs. And then take your hands to your hips. We're going to take our right toes to face the right side of the room, left toes to the left side of the room. So you're inviting a bend to your knees. You're dropping your tailbone down towards the floor. You're activating here throughout the glutes here and the quads. Hands can be in front of your heart center, or you can keep your arms up like so, palms facing each other. Notice your shoulders are not crunched up to your ears. Draw them down. Distribute that weight around your heels. And then take that deep belly breath, a sort of breath that begins at the belly. Feel free to hear your inhale and your exhale. Hold. And then release your hands. Start to lengthen your legs. Pivot your toes towards the front side. Wide-legged forward fold. Hold halfway down. Let's hold here. And then now drop your belly, drop your torso down towards the floor. You can release your hands on the floor. You can cup your elbows with your hands, as I'm demonstrating here. Or you can grip your toes with your fingers. Invite a little bend to your knees. Take 5 deep belly breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Feel free to hear your breath. Sink a little deeper. One more breath. Lift your hands up to your hips. Lift halfway up and then all the way up. So second round out of 3, our goddess pose. Right toes to the right, left toes to the left. Drop your knees. Your knees are at 90-degree angles. Tailbone drops. Hands in front of your heart center or arms lifted. Deep belly breath. It's helpful to find a point across the floor or a room to concentrate on. So you can invite that. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath. And then release the pose. Second round out of 3, wide-legged forward fold. Toes shift towards the front of the room. Your choice. You can interlace your fingers behind you. Extend your elbows. So I'm knitting my shoulder blades closer together. I'm inviting a little bend to my knees. I fold halfway and then all the way down. So you can keep those elbows extended behind you. Interlacing your fingers. Purposely drawing those shoulder blades closer together here. Or if you prefer, you can drop your hands. Find any position there with your hands, gripping your toes, cupping your elbows with your hands. Feel free to hear your inhale and your exhale. Watch your neck. Neck is relaxed. Inhale here. One more breath. Lift your hands up to your hips, lift halfway up, and then all the way up. Last round of our goddess pose. Right toes to the right, left toes to the left. Knees, 90-degree angle. You're dropping your tailbone. Hands in front of your heart center, or hands lifted. Palms facing each other. Draw your shoulders down. Find that point to focus on and breathe. You're breathing into your heels, into your legs, into your core, into your chest. Inhale. Very grounded pose, a very strong pose. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Finding that bridge here with our breath and our inner smile. And then take your hands in front of your heart center, release. Last wide-legged forward fold. Your choice if you want to interlace your fingers behind you or not. Drop halfway and then all the way down. Being mindful here and relaxing your neck. Just 3 breaths here. Inhale here. Exhale. Intentional breath here. You can start to release the pose by lifting your hands up to your hips. And then come back up to standing. We'll transition into our mountain pose. Notice your heels, your toes. Take a moment to invite that present That presence, lengthening your spine, drawing your shoulders down. You can inhale here, exhale, side out. Start to lift your arms up overhead. Inhale, exhale, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release that back into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog, and then lift up into your downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips to the left, hold. And then core workout, left knee towards that left elbow. Lift your core up towards the ceiling, hold here. Inhale, and then lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Lift your right leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Take a generous breath here. Right knee shifts towards that right elbow. Lift your core up towards the ceiling. Lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. Drop your knees, tabletop. Hands shift right beneath your shoulders. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Move a couple of times with your breath. Lifting into your tailbone, or lifting into your cow pose, lifting your tailbone, and then rounding your spine into your cat pose, making sure you're tucking your chin towards your chest. Move at your own pace with your breath. Releasing and opening throughout the spine. Alleviating any soreness throughout the lower back, mid back, upper back. Wherever you're at, about one more round. Inhaling up. Exhaling, rounding your spine. Remain here in your cat pose. We're going to stay there an extra breath. You're separating your shoulder blade. You're grounding through your palms. And then release. Neutral tabletop position. Start to lift your left leg. Ground that left palm onto the floor. Lift your right leg. So right arm, left leg are parallel to the floor. Either take your gaze forward or take your gaze down towards the floor. You're pressing through that left palm. You're lifting your chest, strengthening throughout the lower back. Hold. So you're holding the pose, but you're not holding your breath. Release right hand onto the floor. Release your knee. Opposite side. Lift your right leg. It's parallel to the floor. Lift your left arm. Hold. Inhale here. Exhale. Activate your glutes, your quads, core strength. Inhale, exhale. Drop your left hand, drop your knee. One round, inhale up. Exhale, round your spine. And then start to transition into your seated position. You can sit in a cross-legged position. We're going to go ahead and work on our shoulders and our neck. Ground your hands on your knees. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears, and then draw them down. A couple of times, lifting your shoulders up towards your ears, and then drawing them down. Once you've taken a few rounds here, lift the shoulders up towards your ears, draw your shoulder blades closer together as you release your shoulders down. Once again, shoulders up towards your ears, Draw your shoulder blades closer together as you're releasing your shoulders down towards your ears. Drop your chin towards your chest. And then roll your head from one shoulder to the next. Either completing a half circle or a full circle. We'll be here about 10 breath cycles. This is intentional to allow yourself to deepen and open up here. We store a lot of stress throughout our neck and shoulders, and we tend to crunch up there when we're tense. So take this generous time, about 10 breaths, to deepen, to release any sore spots. But you can work on meditation if you prefer to do that. Three more breaths. Inhaling here, exhaling, you're bringing your head back to that neutral position. And then inhale here, optional exhale, side out. Continuously throughout the class, we're arriving to this present moment. It takes practice to do that. Take one breath, perhaps lengthening that inhale and exhale just a little longer than you're accustomed to. And then exhale, release. If your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes. Remain here in this seated position. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a twist. We're going to take our right hand to grip our left knee and then twist towards the left. You're taking your gaze towards that left shoulder and you're using that grip to intensify the twist. So feel free to grip that knee and turn a little bit more towards the left. And then opposite side. Left hand grabs that right knee, twist towards the right. Keep your chin soft, neutral, shifting towards that right shoulder. And then grip your knee purposely to intensify that twist towards the right. And then release. From here, either cup your forearms with your hands, like so, or press both palms together into a reverse prayer. 2 breaths here. Inhale, exhale. And then release your hands one more time. Right hand grips that left knee, twist towards the left. And then opposite side, left hand grabs that right knee. Come back to center. Grip your forearms with your hands, or reverse prayer. That's where both palms touch. And then you lift your hands as high as you can. Inhale. And then exhale, release your hands. We'll start to bend both knees, soles of the feet on the floor. Make sure you have room behind you to lay down. Palms lift up towards the ceiling. Lift your legs as high as you can. You're imagining a cord. Lift your chest. You want to lengthen your spine, lift your chest up towards the ceiling. Core is active and my quads are active here to support me in this pose. Inhale here. Exhale. Start to drop your chin towards your chest, lengthen your legs, and then release down towards the floor. Head comes back. Palms face the ceiling, little mini Shavasana here for 2 breaths. We inhale, exhale, soften around the tailbone and the lower back. We'll start to shift into a twist, bending our knees. Drop your knees towards the left. Bring your arms out to a T and then drop your head towards the right. You want to imagine your knees and your hips softening further towards the floor. Scan your body and notice where can you soften, where can you relax just 10% further. Remain here in this twist. Soften down the neck and down the spine. Notice that we're in a restorative pose, meaning your body is supported here. You're allowed to soften the body. And then start to bring your knees back to center. Drop your knees towards the right. And then turn your head towards the left. To get a full benefit of the twist, you want your knees and your head to face opposite directions. Once more, you're scanning your body, seeing where can I soften just 10% further. It's interesting that even when we're laying down, our bodies still have the memory of the tension that we hold in our bodies. And so you have to purposely scan, check in with your neck, your shoulders, lower back, hips. We're all affected in different ways. And notice where are you holding on to where you really don't need to. Soften your body. Take a breath. One more breath here. And then you'll start to shift into your butterfly pose. Knees come back to center. And then drop your legs so soles of the feet touch. And then decide where you want to position your hands. Your hands can frame your hips, palms up towards the ceiling, the way I'm demonstrating here. You can rest your hands on your belly, on your chest. Here you can notice the rise and fall of your breath. Or you can lift your arms up overhead, backs of the hands on the floor. Elbows bent. Invite that full diaphragm breathing where your belly can fully expand. We're going to take a few intentional long breaths. So you're breathing, you're taking in the biggest inhale that's possible for you. And we'll only do it a few times. It's actually very difficult to maintain those long breaths over a long period of time. So take about 3 long full breaths. Reacquaint yourself with your full breath. And know that throughout your day, at any time, you can return to this full breath. Soften down the neck, down the spine, to your hips. Three more breaths here. You can invite a breath that supports you. It could be more natural breathing here. And then knees start to come back to center. Knees or feet float off the floor. Massage that lower back and then start to grip your feet with your hands and then lengthen one leg more than the other. Lengthen both legs, bend both knees, rock to the left, to the right, anything here to get that final stretch throughout the ankles, calves, hamstrings and glutes, lower back, hips. You can rock to the left and to the right. Stay here a few moments. And then after a few moments here, we'll start to prepare for our last resting pose. However, if there's one more pose that you need to feel more complete for the class, go ahead and take a moment with that last pose. Otherwise, you're lengthening your Shavasana by coming into it now. This last resting pose is the pose we hold the longest in yoga. It's a pose to release and receive and integrate your practice. And it's also a pose that teaches us the wisdom of doing nothing. And sometimes we're so busy, we have to refamiliarize ourselves with that feeling of being still, having no expectations of the self, noticing what wisdom there is, and doing very little. So as you shift into this last resting pose, invite a purposeful release of your physical body, softening throughout the back of the neck and shoulders, and then down the length of your arms. Releasing your palms and your fingertips. Notice we tend to hold on so much with our hands. Notice that metaphor there. softening the hands, letting go. Soften throughout the upper back, mid back, lower back. And then down the length of the legs, releasing around the hips, behind the knees, down to your ankles and toes. Your breath can go back to its regular rhythm, no control of the breath. Or if you prefer to practice some deep breathing, take a few deep breaths. Observe any thoughts and sensations without judgment. Just notice them without labeling them as good or bad. In this last resting pose, we cultivate that neutrality to the best that we can. And then together, let's take one breath. Inhale here, optional exhale, side. And then we'll start to shift our attention back to our breath. Inviting a generous and leisurely breath. You can restore some movement to your fingertips and your toes. Optional if you would like to lift your arms up overhead and invite a full body stretch. You can also turn your body to the left or right side, allowing your body to remain heavy and relaxed. Notice the distinction of a generous and leisurely breath. There is no hurry. Invite one more breath here, inhaling, a leisurely and generous breath, exhaling. And then you can start to make your way up to your seated position. You can sit on your ankles like I'm doing, or you can sit in a cross-legged position. You can stretch out your legs out in front of you. You have been inviting presence throughout the class, so move slowly with awareness and make those subtle little adjustments that invite that extra bit of awareness. Your core gently activated, shoulders drawn down. We're going to go ahead and take a breath for the day that we've had so far. We'll take a breath for this moment. And then we'll take a breath for the rest of our day. And in appreciation and in gratitude, we'll seal the class. Inhale, exhale. In the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.